I've been fairly quiet on social media, enjoying a number of weeks off, not having to chat about rugby. But as you rightly say, the season is upon us once more. The 5th of August, Ireland taking on Italy at home. A couple of home warm-up games. I'll be working on those, and I'm really excited to get things moving and things going. But just on Johnny Sexton, and like, that's somebody who I played with at under 18s, 19s, 21s, the whole way through internationals. You know, this fella is a genuine guy. He's a good bloke. He's a good family man. He does have good values. And I know people all across the world seen what Johnny Sexton was up to after the Heineken Cup final and criticised him for that. And rightly so. I'm not sitting here saying that, Johnny shouldn't be given a ban. I think the tweet that I put out yesterday, of course, it was a little bit tongue in cheek. I do feel sorry for the supporters. Of course, I do. I would love to see Johnny run out a couple of more times in the Aviva Stadium. I know people say that he's already had 3 or 4 different send-offs, but to finish the season the way he did through injury was really disappointing for him and for a lot of fans, and somebody like myself as well to see him run out. And he's the captain of Ireland, and I suppose the way he acted after the Heineken Cup final, it wasn't right. He apologised for his actions, and what was actually said to the referees, I think reading in the reports, it wasn't clear, was it? It was very. I'm not sure what Johnny was trying to do at the time. Was he trying to rile them up? Was he just really frustrated, passionate? We know how much how much jip he gives refs on the pitch and has done for the last 10, 12, 15 seasons. But you can be sure straight after the game he's shaking the referee's hand, and maybe up in the players' lounge is having a quiet pint with 1 or 2 of them. And I'd say his relationship with most referees across world rugby is pretty good. And even the likes of Barnsley and everything, people relating to the Dylan Hartley incident where he spoke back to him. I don't think Johnny Sexton comes with much previous. I don't think he goes around battering lads on the pitch and getting banned for weeks on end and biting people's fingers and thinking that that's all okay. So I think you can't say that both those incidents are similar or the same. And yeah, like I feel sorry for the Irish public, but I think it was Ronan O'Gara did an interview a number of weeks after the Heineken Cup final and said that he thinks that Johnny Sexton shouldn't be banned, and that it was a moment where passion and probably a little bit of anger, losing the match in the dying moments, come over him. And unfortunately for him, he said a few things, and I think aggressive and hostile towards the referees. And yeah, of course, he's getting a 3-game ban, and I think that's probably right. And even Andy Good last night on Twitter said that everybody in World Rugby wants to see Johnny Sexton at a Rugby World Cup, and that's not just Irish fans. That's coming from somebody that's represented England, and they want to see the best players turn out in France and put in really good performances. So yeah, long story short, Donny, I think probably a 3-game ban's about right, and we can hopefully see Johnny step into an Ireland jersey and lead his team in the Rugby World Cup. If you're Johnny Sexton, you want to get out and play 1.5 of those 3 games in the lead up. You want to build a bit of max fitness. You want to take a few of the contacts. Get yourself used to the physicality again. I think if he plays the first game against Romania, it's going to be 6 months since he stepped on the rugby field. That's a hell of a long time. He's 38 years of age. His birthday was just a couple of weeks ago. So, he's not getting any younger. And we all talk about the best players can step into any occasion and turn it on. But, that's going to be really, really difficult for him to do, especially when it comes to a quarterfinal. Against either France or New Zealand, whatever way it pans out. But he is such an important part of this Irish team. He is the heart and soul. And anybody you speak to, if Ireland are playing in a World Cup quarterfinal and Johnny Sexton's playing, we've got a serious chance. We're world number 1. Johnny Sexton's leading the way. He's been so consistent for so many years. But if he's not playing, then all of a sudden the expectation drops dramatically. It really does. And I know Ross Byrne has stepped into Johnny Sexton's boots on a few occasions and performed reasonably well, but he sort of went off a little bit in that Heineken Cup final, went off a little bit in the Munster game in the URC semi-final, maybe not carrying the same weight of confidence going into the Rugby World Cup. So I think it's definitely going to have a small dent on Andy Farrell's preparations. But I think something like this to happen to Johnny Sexton will drive him even more. Like, it really will. It's just the question, Donny, can Johnny Sexton stay fit for 7 games in a row to win a Rugby World Cup? And I think the answer to that over the last number of years is that he probably can, and he's going to have to be managed, even though he's had this long, extended break through injury, through suspension, ban, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it pans out, and it's a talking point that I'm sure Andy Farrell doesn't want to discuss at every press conference that he walks into about Johnny Sexton and how he's feeling, and is he going to captain Ireland in the big games, or is there going to be a change in captaincy because of this situation? Who knows? But it's there's a lot of players in that Ireland team that can certainly take it on and get this team driving forward. But yeah, we'll wait and see how it all pans out. I think I'm more excited about this weekend than I am with Ireland against Italy in a few weeks' time. I love my golf. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play too much recently, but yeah, it's super exciting. I think the finish that McIlroy had in the Renaissance Club in Scotland, to win his first ever trophy on Scottish soil, will give him huge confidence. He's hitting the ball so well. I think even when he didn't, he couldn't get the ball in the fairway in his last round. I think it was like after 14 holes, he'd hit 2 fairways or something, but he was still able to get it around. His course management was unbelievable. And when he needed to, he hit 3 ridiculous shots in a row that, I think it was a 7-iron, 190 yards into the par 3 17th, a half decent drive on 18, and then this ridiculous 2-iron with a floaty soft fade on it into 12 feet, and then he rolls it in. And that's just him. You talk about Johnny Sexton being able, in the fine moments of needing to step up and make a play to change a game, like that's what McIlroy can do, and that's why everybody thinks he has the best talent in the world of golf, because in situations like that he can make it happen. And I did feel sorry for McIntyre, crying, a few tears coming off the green, the home support and everything else, but it was ridiculous, absolutely sensational final 2 holes for McIlroy. So he has to be the favourite. Of course he is. Scheffler will be knocking down that door. He had a really good tournament as well up in Scotland. Brooks Koepka's been leading the way on the Live Tour. He obviously has a caddy from Royal Portrush, and Ricky Elliott, who knows the wind very well, has grown up on links courses. Brooks Koepka performed really well at the Open in Royal Portrush. He's always in contention. He doesn't mind slow greens. His short game's very good. He's dialed in usually with his long play. So I think he's going to be thereabouts. He's 18-1. I think that's pretty good odds for Brooks Koepka. And even somebody like Shane Lowry, he's becoming a bit more of a streaky player of late. Mediocre first round, mediocre second round, then all of a sudden he goes out in Scotland and shoots 6 or 7 under, and he's in contention. And he loves the wind. These wet conditions that are happening for us all, he will relish that. And even somebody like Tyrrell Hatton, who is probably one of the most stubborn golfers you'll ever come across, and his verbals and everything else, I think is only a good thing for the game of golf. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. McIlroy's my pick. He has to. He won there in 2014 at the same golf course. That's the last major he's won. But there's going to be a number of guys trying to hunt him down. Scheffler, Brooks Koepka 18-1, and look out for Shane Lowry, who I think is 25-1.